So today I'm talking to Marcello. He's the owner of the really successful INFJ psychology account on Instagram. He just reached 100K, I think in September, which is an amazing milestone. And I'm really, really happy for you. First off, congratulations. And I want to ask him a couple of things because we as INFJs, and particularly on this channel, we talk about how can we overcome those typical INFJ procrastination habits, how can we go after our dreams. And so I thought it would be a great idea to talk to another INFJ and ask him how he made that happen. So first, Marcello, thank you so much for being here and congrats on your success. So can you first off, can you first off just tell us a little bit about yourself and what the account is all about?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm actually relatively new to the MBTI. I had started my account around the same time. I had watched some YouTube videos talking about INFJs. It's possible I might have even saw one of your videos, but it's something that really piqued my interest and I really resonated with the content. I took some personality tests and I realized I was an INFJ and it was really something that I connected with. So I decided to just for fun, just start an account, see where we go. At this time, when I started, it was maybe about 2 years ago, year and a half ago. There weren't many INFJ pages. There weren't many MBTI pages. So it was kind of a fresh market. And I just started my account just for fun, started posting a few memes and stuff, connected with people. And it just quickly started to gain momentum. And at the beginning, it was really amazing. I realized how many other INFJs are there and just also the other personality types. It was great to just connect with people that resonated with the same subject, and it was just really great. So I just started to build a community, and here we are at 100,000.
This is amazing because I've been in the road for a long time, but I mostly do YouTube, and a lot of my stuff happens behind the scenes. But seeing somebody that really skyrockets like this is just amazing, and it's so really props to that. I'm really, really happy for you. And I want to ask you a couple more questions just so we really go behind the scenes, so to say, find out how this whole thing worked out in your favor, why you didn't stop. And that's what we're going to get into. Let us, you told us already how you started this journey. In the beginning, I'm sure it wasn't something that, you got the results as fast as you put the input in. Why I'm asking this is because most people do something because they want the result. They want the recognition or the connection. And for somebody to stick with something until it has success, it has to start with something that you want to put out there. So how was that beginning part? Like you said, you started doing it for fun, but what was that driving force in the beginning that you said, I'm going to continue this? And I'm sure you weren't really out, oh, I have to have that success. It was more than that.
Yeah, absolutely. So right off the bat, I would say in a way, I guess I'm a little lucky because I first started Instagram in 2015. I've run many other accounts before. So I've already gotten a feel of what it takes to build a successful platform on that platform. So basically what I'll start from the beginning. I had started making some quote pages in 2015. One of my friends introduced me to Instagram and I realized at this point, I wasn't really big on social media. I never really used Instagram, but he had showed me how you could build a community. He was making a bit of money from it too. And I'm like, wow, you could actually do that. You could make a living from your phone. And that really just started getting me thinking a lot about stuff. So at this point in 2015, I had started a quote page. There was zero momentum. Nothing happened. I had done that for a few months and I had completely stopped it. At that point, I've always been into fitness. So I started a fitness page called mind_over_muscle. And it was just a reposting page. I would repost fitness motivation videos, memes, things like that. And I had I'd been really consistent with it. I'd gone maybe to 50,000 followers. I had built a community. I networked with a lot of different people. And then one day, Instagram decided to disable my account. I think it was because over the time I had reposted content from other pages. I think one of them was UFC or the Olympics. Either way, it was copyright. After you get flagged a few times, Instagram just decides to disable your account. So at this point, I kind of went through a bit of not a crisis, but it was just a huge, I don't know, a wake up call. It just really it really just showed me that wow, in the span of a second, you could just lose everything. And it was kind of depressing. I won't lie. But at that point, I just went with it. I basically quit Instagram for a few months. And it's funny because at that point I had discovered the MBTI. So I just found something else that I was really passionate about. And I just delved into it. And I'm like, hey, why not? Why don't I, after a few months of having been familiar with the MBTI, I'm like, why don't I just start an INFJ page? Like, why not? I didn't even know there were people on Instagram that cared about it. I'm just like, I'm just gonna do it for fun. And that was literally the start of it all. And in a way, it was kind of a blessing in disguise because now my platforms are bigger than what I had before. I have a better community and I'm having more fun with it too. So it's amazing how sometimes like something, I guess you could, something bad might happen, but you could turn it into something good. But yeah, that's really how it had started. And how did I stay consistent? So after being in Instagram for a few years, I realized really consistency is the most important thing. Like I already kind of mentioned fitness. I love fitness because I think it's a great analogy, but having worked out for more than 10 years, I realized like you won't see results quick. Sometimes it takes years to see results with anything. You build a YouTube channel, an Instagram account, like, so I'm already going in with that mindset, thinking that I'm not going to see results right away. I'm going to see results, but I'm not going to see them right away. And the sooner you're more comfortable with that, the less anxiety you have, I find. I feel like a lot of people, including myself, sometimes I put pressure on myself and you want something quick, but it's just not the way it works. And the moment you detach from that and you kind of remove expectations, like even now, like it's something I used to do a lot, but as much as yes, I hit 100K, I don't really look at the numbers as much. I use it as a metric of like seeing the progress that I'm making and all that. But if you wrap yourself around too much, the followers, the likes, the comments, and all that stuff, it's just gonna, I almost feel like it'll do more damage than good because you're just always looking at that. I think it's important to look at it, but I think it's more important to develop a process or a method that just keeps you consistent. Like my rule every day is at least, regardless of how tired I am or what goes through my day, I at least try to post once a day, at least.
Yeah.
I always try to post at least 2, 3 times if I can, but the rule is for me is to try to be consistent because the moment I've had periods where like you lose motivation and you just stop posting one day and then it's 2 days you haven't posted, then it's 3 days, then it's 3 weeks, it's a month, and it's like, oh wow, like I've been out of it for so long, I almost don't even feel like
Doing
getting
it
back into
again.
that.
Yeah. Yeah. And see, like, this is not something, like it fits perfectly to your channel, but I think it's like something a lot of INFJs struggle with, right? First off,
Mhm.
this whole thing of we have the vision. And then when you look at reality, it's going to be a lagging measure of what you put in. And for us INFJs, this is a thing. And I think like you were a perfect example of, first off, focusing on the right thing, which is, who you're becoming in the process, that you first off have fun with it, that when you go to bed at night, I was consistent today. I can be proud of myself because I had this goal and I made this happen. Because as you said, if you were just looking at, okay, do I hit these milestones? When your account was deleted, you probably would have said, okay, like it would just completely destroyed you. And so I also like think it's important first off to understand there's always progress, like even if it isn't exactly, I always like to say this analogy of, even if it's not the right mountain, you're climbing on a mountain until you have a better view, and then you know what the next step is. And so,
Yeah.
okay, yeah. So like now we talked about like a lot of like the good habits that you've built, like, and we also see it's of course the passion, but there's also skill involved, right? I mean, it's not
Mhm.
like how the platform works. There is a reason how you connect to the people. So I think it's important for all of us to understand, because this isn't of course just about Instagram. It's more about understanding, yes, you have your gifts, but you also have to learn the skills. And if you're willing to be consistent, wait a little bit and focus on who you're becoming, then you can have like success like you and be really happy with who you're becoming in the process. So, okay, we talked about the positive stuff. What are some, like you would say, maybe negative habits that you've had in the beginning that now you say, okay, I was able to overcome this and this has really made a difference for me?
No, that's great. I kind of wanted to get into that. I was gonna say, yeah, there's a few things. Right off the bat, something that was like running through my head is like comparing ourselves to others. I feel like sometimes, especially you're building your platform and you might compare it to other pages that might be doing better or might, their community is growing faster or whatever. That is something you have to avoid doing. I think it's great to to contrast and see what other people are doing because that's how I learned what works and what doesn't. But when you're always comparing yourself to others, it will, yeah, no, I think it's just going to demotivate you. So I think the first thing right off the bat is try not to compare yourself to others. We all have our own journey and we all have our own mission. I think it's that the best way to see results is just to focus on your own thing. Try to make the best product. And then from there, you'll see the results. If you're always looking at what everyone else is doing, you're not perfecting what you're trying to build. And I'm sure maybe you go through that too. Maybe you look at other YouTube channels and I don't know your process, but I think like I'd like to eventually get on YouTube too. But if I'm always comparing at what all the other YouTubers are doing and looking at the metrics that they have, it's just gonna push me in the wrong direction, I think. So the best thing is just to be insular, focus on your thing. On top of that, something I struggle a lot with is procrastination.
Hmm.
Even like with you, I felt bad. Like I remember you messaged me, and it took me like at one point I like hadn't responded in like a few weeks, and I'm like I feel bad, but it's just like sometimes I'm just overwhelmed with everything, and I take on a lot of things, so I just don't know how to deal with it. And what I do now is I just try not to judge myself so much. Like I have a lot of things I want to do and I want to accomplish, so I take in a lot of things, but sometimes it's like today I'm just gonna take a day off, and it's okay. I need that day off. Otherwise, I'm just going to burn out. And I feel like INFJs in particular could be very hard on themselves. Many of us are perfectionists and we want the perfect product. We want everything to be the right way, or it's just not good. And perfectionism in its own way, I think it's fine. It's good to attain, like have to aim for the stars, if you want to say, but it's okay to hit the top of a tree or the top of a mountain too. And to be fine with that. And I think that sometimes I used to beat myself up a lot, and I still do sometimes. Like sometimes I'm like, yo, I have so much stuff to do, and then I remind myself, I'm like, relax, you're doing fine. You know, like you're doing great. Like don't be so hard on yourself. Like things are gonna work out. And I think that a huge thing that's helped me a lot is we sometimes tend to set like time restraints for ourselves. Like I'm turning 28 soon. I'm gonna be 30, and sometimes I'm like, wow, there's so much more I want to do, but it's fine. I'm in a better place than I was a year ago. Like I've built my platform and I want to do more things with it. And it's just like you have to look at the good. Don't always focus on the negatives, you know? And that's something that's helped me a lot. Something I realized like in life as well is just like no matter what you do, there's always going to be good and bad, positives and negatives, but it really comes down to what you decide to focus on. If you're always going to focus on the negatives, then yeah, there's your life is just going to revolve around that. But why not just look at the good too? And not to say that like you should ignore the negatives and be naive, because there's going to be things that are going to happen in life, but your attention should look at the good things that you're doing, the progress, and not be so hard on yourself. And that really has helped me a lot. And yeah, like if ever you find yourself procrastinating or you feel like I find we tend to procrastinate as well because we want the perfect thing, but it's fine not to get it 100% all the time. The fact that you've just done it is good enough. You know, like
Exactly.
sometimes you want.
Yeah, done is better than perfect. And that's what I always say. And when when you say these things, like, it's always the same things. And we all can like, you know, learn from this. So if like people watching can see like, you're going through the same things, like, the procrastination for like the most important thing, forgive yourself. Like it's okay. Like, all of those things, I should be doing things more, or I shouldn't be so hard on myself. Like even being hard on yourself, like let's forgive that as well. Like I love that that you said that, and focusing on the positive things. Yeah, that's what I'm all about, because I see like how my life has changed so much. And lastly, I just want to get into this point that you said, because I think your shirt says it perfectly, like where you said, what's your lane, and it's like authentic, like like, so like,
I
yeah, you
I
can
didn't
see
even
what.
notice the show,
Yeah,
right?
I know. I thought so. So, yeah, you see what people around you are doing, and this has nothing to do if it's Instagram or YouTube or, you're a teacher or whatever it is. Like, there's so many ways for us to, be ourselves, and there's nothing like it around exactly. Like, for example, the way I do my YouTube channel is different than the other ones, because that's how I, do my thing. But it's like, you've got to find like be somehow relatable to people and still be authentic to you. And I think you're finding a really, really great way to do that. And I think a lot of people profit so much from your account and, have it as a daily motivation and something that is fun as well. So I'm really grateful that your channel, like, yeah, it's not a channel on Instagram, it's an account. Yeah. So like those things, but yeah. So do you have any last things you want to get off your chest, like that you want to share with others, maybe who want to start their own journey? It doesn't have to necessarily be Instagram, just, I mean, like going after a dream that doesn't seem like, okay, it's something everybody can achieve.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think that when it comes to just building anything, you really have to, I think as well as INFJs, we tend to take a lot of things at heart, criticism, all that stuff. I still take like, it's really hard for me too sometimes, but you really have to learn to shut it out. You really have to just be insular and focus on whatever you're trying to build. Because if you're going to take everyone's, and I'm not saying like constructive criticism, that's good too. I take a lot of that, but you are gonna like at 100,000 followers, I do sometimes get some nasty DMs or just messages, and it's like sometimes it'll hit me and I'm like I'll dwell on it, and then like I'll snap out of it after a few hours. I'm like, what am I doing? I don't even, it's literally just a message on a platform that like I don't even know the person. Like what am I breaking my head over? And I feel like sometimes that stops a lot of people. You know, it stops a lot of people because they don't want to get those nasty messages. But that's just the reality of it. You can't, whenever you try to build anything, whether it's business or you try to be successful, like at something, you are going to get negativity. And my advice is you have to learn to shut that out. You know, you have to learn to ignore it. And you want to yourself with people that support you. Surround yourself with people that see the vision that you have. And sometimes they're not you don't know them in real life. I've made incredible friendships online that I've never met, but we talk frequently, and it's just like that's been very supportive for me. Some of them have been people that have followed me, some of them are other admins of other accounts, and it's just like you want to surround yourself with people that bring light into your life, because if you're always going to be surrounded by darkness, it'll get hard. You could still do it, but the best thing is you want to surround yourself with people that support you. And like I said, constructive criticism is good too. Like, it's not to say like reject all the criticism you get, because then you're just going to be blindsided by a lot of things. A lot of things that have helped me is listening to what other people have said. And it's like, maybe if you try this, it'll be better. Maybe try that. And it's just like, yeah. And keeping an open mind to try new things, to be curious and get outside your comfort zone. Like, I'm not going to lie, this was a little uncomfortable for me. I'm very introverted. I have a lot of social anxiety. I've done some live streams before with some guests. I have not done one by myself yet, but just doing that has forced me to get uncomfortable. And I realized like the more you do it, the more comfortable you get and the more natural it becomes. And that's the idea. The more you do something, the gradual exposure you do to it, the less intimidating it is. And yeah.
Same thing with the negativity, right? I mean, like, because people ask me, okay, shut it out or shut it down. Like, how does that work? Well, actually, you just do it once, you see it, and you don't die. And then like, and then you say, okay, I don't die. Okay, the world still exists. It hurt a little bit. But next time when something comes at the same level, it doesn't hit you so much. And then you just learn, okay, I can take the next step. So, everything that you said, I think like, with everybody that I've talked to who's achieved things that are out of the ordinary, those are the things that they have to go through. And, as you said, a lot of INFJs have this, because we understand people so well, we can absorb them. There is this fear of how this is going to make us feel. But I always say, we can do hard things. That's the whole thing. So thank you so much for taking the time. It was really great. Like, I think people will benefit from this a lot. I wish you all the success in the future. I hope we can collaborate in the future again.
Absolutely.
Okay. And
Thanks so much for having me on. I appreciate it. And I would definitely love to collaborate again in the future. Yeah. Thank you so much for reaching out.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for taking the time. And we stay in touch. Okay.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.